Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you game 2 now in the series between Acer's Bly and Azubu's San here on Belshire Vestige. San playing an extremely strong game in game 1, and when it looked like Bly was going to take the game, San just built Phoenixes off of 3 Stargates and was able to destroy that Mutalisk flock. No problems there, even though Bly had brought corruptors to the party. On top of that, San, by using Guardian Shield with his Phoenixes, extended the life of his Phoenixes tremendously and was able to take that game even though Bly had superior air upgrades, 1-1 compared to 1-0. Now, San is moving forward. He will be doing a bit of scouting here as the Overlord is going to spot this probe now coming in. Will Bly try to go for a hatchery first, or is he going to be playing a little bit more safe and going for that spawning pool? I would normally say that he would be going for that spawning pool since he wants to make sure that there are no proxy gates and he wants to make sure that a straight up game is played. Getting that early spawning pool doesn't hurt your overall income all that much as it did in Brood War, as the introduction of the Queen is another way for Zerg to get production. That's one of the big changes from StarCraft Brood War and StarCraft Vanilla to StarCraft 2, but I'm sure all of you guys are well aware of it. If you guys have been following StarCraft 2, you probably are like, yeah, we knew this like 2 years ago. Anyways, San now coming in. He's going to try and block this drone for just a bit, but it looks like the drone is going to grow up to be a hatchery. Yes, no problems there, as Bly has yet to get any gas. No gas down means that this is going to be more of a macro game, most likely. Bly should focus on getting a lot of queens, perhaps 5 to 6. Queens are especially good at dealing with forms of Protoss harassment, oracles, phoenixes, all of that air, just anti-air without any gas, always very, very nice. Also, queens are helpful against Dark Templars if you have some detection, as the queens have a fair amount of health and can transfuse each other when the time comes. Now, taking a look at the front door of San. San has that gateway, he has the photon cannon, he has a forge. This is all looking rather strong and good here, as the Zerglings may be able to get in another run by. Is the probe going to get in there in time? It looks like it might. It is just going to be sitting there and waiting for it. Oh, in comes the probe, and even the probe who was out and about to play is able to get in there in time. All right, let's take a look. It looks as though this probe is going to try to make its way out. Oh, this could be a very, very bad day for that probe. And 2 Zerglings is all you need to take down a running probe. The reason why is that the shields do not recharge fast enough. If you are chasing with 2 probes, if chasing with 2 Zerglings, if you chase with 1 Zergling, the shields will actually start to recharge, and they will have a net gain of 2 shield points. This probe, however, all it needed to do was scout out and see if that base was taken. It was not taken by the 5-minute mark, and now San is going to be retreating back home, but does that probe have enough gas in him? Only the StarCraft gods know, but my bet is no, as that Zergling looks like it is just ravenous for some blood. All right, yep, down it goes. Oh, kill steal. That Zergling ran halfway or all the way around the map just to get the kill, and this guy's like, you know what, I'll come in there and take it down. All right, one poor zealot does get the kill off there. He's now trying to get within photon cannon range. It looks like he will be able to do so, and now will hold position in order to hold off a large number of Zerglings if the Zerglings do come in. Now, Stargate has become much more popular as a form of harassment, especially with the introduction of the Oracle. The Oracle, very fast, but not nearly as useful as, say, the Phoenix. The benefit of the Oracle, though, is it does give you another detector early on just from the Stargate. It looks as though we are going into Phoenixes instead, so it will be 1 or 2 Phoenixes, and San did use those Phoenixes to great, just use those Phoenixes very well in the previous game, so I wouldn't see why he would change that, as 3 or 4 Phoenixes did get a good number of kills on Overlords and a handful of drones. Poor probe is taken down once again as metabolic boost does complete. There you have it. The Zerglings now scouting around, checking every which corner of the map, making sure that nothing strange is going on. Meanwhile, San now going into multiple gateways, and that's the all-important building. Now, I used to say that the third building for Protoss was the most important building, and I now have to think it's the fourth building. The fourth building really dictates what the Protoss player is trying to do. Now with the third building and the option for observers or the options for Stargate for harassment, it doesn't really commit a Protoss player to any serious particular strategy. However, the fourth building is here as we now see more gateways being built inside the base. It shows that we are going to be having heavy gateway pressure. Roach Hydralisk is going to be the perfect composition to handle this, as Bly, as long as he's able to keep his Hydralisk in the back and his Roaches in the front, should deal a lot of damage. However, Phoenixes have already scouted out the necessary buildings, and this could go very, very poorly for Bly. Are we going to spot a robotics facility? Are we going to be spotting a robotics facility? Yes, we do. There's a robotics facility. There's Roaches now being trained as we are finally going into our third base from Bly. The problem, though, Bly is still rather low on workers. 53 drones. Can't really transfer that many here to avoid heavy saturation. Maybe, 5 drones from here and another 4 drones from here. He did slow down his drone production just a bit as the Phoenixes are now cleaning up some of the overlords around the map. Are we going to see enough units getting taken down here, as we are already going into a Mothership Core Stalker Sentry harassment? Mothership Core does not have enough energy for a recall yet, but it should by the time any serious engagements are made. There you go. There's the engagement. There's some force fields as the Guardian Shield now up. Alright, down goes the Queen as the Zealots are now chasing some of those more expensive, or the Roaches are chasing the more expensive sentries. However, the Roaches are rather beefy, and this is not a good fight for San. San realizes this and is trying to get away. Fortunately for him, Glio Reconstitution is not yet done, and while that is not yet done, the Zealots and the Roaches have the same movement speed. Alright, Phoenix is now coming in again. We are going to see some drones taken down. There it goes again. There goes another. How many drones will fall as the Spore Crawler is now up to shoo those pesky Phoenixes away? Roaches now going after that one pylon there, as the Mothership Core is still around to try and at least poke and prod some of these Roaches. The Mothership Core does deal very little damage, but over time it does add up. Meanwhile, the front door, a Roach massacre there as force fields prevent any serious retreat, as we are now looking at the Mothership Core coming over to perhaps take down this hatchery before it gets operational. Once again, more drones gonna get picked apart. No, that drone stays alive at 1 hit point. Natural regeneration for the win right there, as the Phoenixes are once again coming back home. Roaches are moving relatively quickly. We are now going into Mutalisk, and I don't know if Bly is really thinking clearly going into Mutalisk again. He had just simply gotten beat down by Mutalisk in the previous game. Does he want to see a repeat? Bly now losing this Queen off over here. Looks as though, nope, the Queen is going to be able to make its way over. Are we going to see a new Graviton Beam? No, more Mutalisks are now coming out. Phoenixes could be trained up, and there you have it. The Phoenixes spotted the Mutalisks, and now we are going into heavier Phoenix production. Once more, though, Roaches able to make their way in. Photon Overcharge coming in as these Roaches are going to get taken down. It looks as though a couple of these Roaches will get taken down here. There goes another. One last Roach, as we still see some units on the front door. Meanwhile, a group of Roaches trying to head back home get picked up and will not be able to head back home at all, as the Phoenixes Graviton beam their way to a couple more deaths. So far, serving up those Roaches on a Graviton platter has been working out fairly well. Bly now trying to get up this fourth base for more gas, most likely for more Phoenixes. Meanwhile, San said, you know what, you went for heavy Mutalisk play in the previous game. I'm going to throw down another Stargate and see if you do it once more. 4 Phoenixes, with the 5th one and most likely 6 and 7 now coming in. As there you have it, more chrono boosting and more Phoenixes should be added here in just a moment. Meanwhile, I'm not quite sure what was taken down there. It looked like a pylon, as the Mutalisks are now looking to come in and engage. Let's see, that is 19 Mutalisks. However, going to be going up against a fair number of Phoenixes. The Phoenixes need to back off, though. The Mutalisks can dance around, very, very easily. As you can see, the Mutalisks are still moving around back and forth. Zergling's now going to try to test that front door. However, it is sealed up nicely with that Zealot, as we're now going to see the Mutalisks now come into play. Photon Overcharge bringing in the hurt, as the Phoenixes may try to get in some damage here on these Mutalisks. There goes some Zerglings, as the Phoenixes are not going to chase. We can see expanding to the 4th and 5th base at the same time. San is now upside down on supply, 140 compared to 121. As we are now moving into the late mid game. Alright, is San going to be able to stop this Mutalisk presence and then finish off his opponent, or will Bly be able to pick away his opponent since he's only sitting on 2 bases? The good thing about Bly sitting on 2 bases is he has less room, or he has less areas to be concerned about for those fast-moving Mutalisks. However, he cannot win in a long game. He needs to deal tremendous, terrible damage with this fight, and it looks like he's going to be doing exactly, or he wants to do exactly that. Phoenixes are now over here, coming back over, taking down Mutalisks. Mutalisks versus Phoenixes, taking down more units. One lone Zealot trying to fight off more units, as well as the Mutalisks are still trying to back off. Meanwhile, at the main base, or the natural expansion of Bly is losing his natural with no army to protect it. Mutalisks and Zerglings are trying to make their way through, but the Photon Overcharge and the Photon Cannons present with the Phoenix support is more than enough, and it looks like San is going to come out ahead with this base trade. Hydralisk now going to get taken down. Roach Warren going to get taken down as well. And no, it looks as though the buildings are not going to get taken down at all. Phoenixes are still chasing a Mutalisk, as we're still seeing the engagement go on here. Meanwhile, Zealots are going to try and clean up this hatchery, and San is not leaving anything to chance. He is just attacking straight up the middle, and it looks like Bly will be forced to give the GG here in just a moment, as the base is just falling apart. 70 supply advantage for San, and the Mutalisks are looking for a way to help win this fight, but that Phoenix Squadron is simply too much, and there you go. All of those units are now backing off again. There you go. It looks as though, yes, the Phoenixes are going to be coming in, taking down more units, and the Mutalisks are just trying to hold on. It doesn't look good. All we really need to see is the range upgrade on those Phoenixes, and the Mutalisks would be completely taken down. But San actually did something a little bit smart here. He perhaps knew that if he got the range upgrade, Bly would then stop training Mutalisks. But at this point, because there isn't the range upgrade, Bly is almost cornered into thinking that, hey, perhaps I have enough Mutalisks to win out in an exchange. That is definitely not the case. Bly loses this. Final score, 10 supply to 146. Now, if you're wondering what Game 3 is, I do occasionally cast anti-spoiler games. Stay tuned for an anti-spoiler game with San and I believe Straylock, taken from the Zotac Cup as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.